Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Shannon. This is Made by Boo, and it has been a slightly rainy day here just outside of Boise, Idaho, and I am ready to talk about some of my projects. So a couple weeks ago, the title of the last video said it all, failure. I was definitely kind of down on my projects, not really feeling the inspiration. One of those where it's like nothing is working out. I'm finishing nothing. This is not my happiest making time. And I am happy to say that I am definitely feeling a lot more love for my projects lately. So we can get right into it. I have 2 finished objects. I will start with the tiniest one. This is the one that I picked to do to kind of get some of that flow going again, feel good about my projects. And it was just the teeniest, tiniest little stuffed thing. This was one of those Woobles kits where every now and then I would order some for my daughter. Like I ordered the special Hello Kitty collection because I have 2 kids who deeply love Hello Kitty, and one of them also happens to love crochet, and specifically Woobles kits. And this was like a little cheap add-on, and it was just this tiny little Cup of Joe pattern, and it was like, you know what? I can finish something. I can get a sense of accomplishment. It is adorable. I thought about putting something on it to turn it into like a keychain or something, but I don't really need another keychain. And instead I decided to just put it here, and it fits perfectly into the lap of this friend. I don't know if I ever introduced everybody. I did not make this friend. My teenage daughter who crochets made herself a tiny little Baphomet in black and red. And he was adorable, and I told her so, and so she offered to make me one, but in pink, just because how adorable. And so we call him Baphomet Barbie. And the cup just fits so perfect in his lap. He and Frank here, and then this, she made herself a Mothman, and so of course made me a pink version to sit here. This is Yas Man, so yeah, the cup of coffee sits perfectly there, so they have the energy to talk all the time. My other finished object, I am so happy to say I have finished the last pair of socks for my Broadway sock project. This is pair number 10 of all of these socks, and this was made using Cascade Heritage yarn. I have both loved and hated doing these Broadway sock projects. It's been so fun to wear them with my daughter as we go to see each show, but it was 10 pairs of socks. It became all of my sock knitting up except during Advent season, and I was just kind of getting burnt, and now they are done. My daughters were done before. These are my pair, so we are prepared to go see Wicked. You can see the ends are still in. I will trim those off after I block them, which I honestly already even have the water ready to just throw these in as soon as I am done talking about them. The Broadway and Boise series has been announced for next year. There is quite a few good shows, but there's really only one we're planning on seeing, so I may make socks for that one. But one of the shows that's coming through next year is The Lion King, and so the current plan is to get tickets that will encompass more of the family, including my smallest, who will be 8 then. And then it's one of those where it's like, well, if I do socks, I'm going to have to do 3 pairs for that show. So we'll see if I have the energy to do that for another show, but they are done. I am so excited to be able to wear them, but also I am so excited to be able to just pick whatever sock project I feel like working on, to just go through my yarns and find the sock yarns that is inspiring me, instead of, well, if I don't get started on this now, they will not be done by the deadline. So our last show is the first weekend in April. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but they are done in time, and I am thrilled. All right, so I genuinely hope that I do not need those socks again, because I actually did just pause recording and throw them in so they can start soaking while I finish filming. So if I need to talk about them again, you will not have them visually here, but I should be done with those. So since finishing those socks, I have 3 works in progress that have really gotten anything done on them in the last couple of weeks, and 2 of them are socks, but 1 of them was started before finishing those. So I will start with the ones you've already seen. As usual, not left handy. So these are my... These are my Zodiac themed socks from Maple and Barley. This was a 12-day advent calendar that I had around Christmas. I have looked at her advent calendars for next year. I'm starting to pick which ones I want to get, because while I am trying to prioritize the yarn that I already have, I also really love advent calendar season. And I am considering her horror movie themed one, because I like the concept, but I don't actually enjoy watching like those super horror movies, so I haven't decided for sure. There's a few other ones that I've seen and decided maybe, maybe not. A few that I'm definitely getting. I mean, they're all still being announced. Anyway, so these are the Zodiac themed socks from Maple and Barley. I am just doing a simple vanilla pair of socks. So the main skein of yarn they came with is this bright purple. I am not using this bright purple with it just because I wasn't sure I liked it, and I am instead using this gray from So Happy Jane. It was just left over from, I believe, when I made the Geo Gradient. And here are both socks. When we last spoke, I had 3 stripes in, and I have now completed 4 more stripes on each sock. And then I need to put the heel in next, because I'll have 5 stripes on the foot. Each of my stripes is 10 rounds. And most of the time my foot for me is 55 rounds, and then I do like 50 rounds if I'm going to do a contrasting toe, and switch to do an extra 5 rounds before reducing for the toe. I just like the amount of yarn you get at the toe that way. Like, I like the color block of it. And it works out well for these, because I like splitting for the heel at a stripe. I don't like splitting a stripe with a heel in the middle, so it works out really well for me. So I don't remember entirely the order they went in. I probably should, but I don't. I do know the first one is Aries, because that's my husband, and this right down here is Libra, which is me. So these are going okay. I feel like each time I'm working on these, I did the 3 stripes, and then I didn't touch them for like 2 weeks. And then this time I did 4 stripes. I haven't touched them in a week, and they probably won't get a lot of work right away right now. We will see. But I am just kind of chugging along on them, because I do want them to finish. I'm storing everything still in the box, because when I have weighed each of the yarns after completing a stripe, I still have like 16 grams. That's quite a bit of each of the mini skeins. And I'm going to need these scissors later. That is also technically enough to put all of those into another project with the purple skein they came with if I want to. And I kind of want to, but I haven't determined what it is. Like, my first thought is that I could do very easily like a cowl or something, but I have not found a specific cowl pattern that I want to use it with. And so until I decide exactly that, hey, I'm not using this all together again, I'm going to keep it together. As I use each color, I'm putting it back in the bag so it stays with its label and everything. That way, whatever project I choose to do in the future, I can have it all in order if I'd like to. So the other pair of socks I've been working on, it's in my Woolens and Nosh Advent socks from last year bag. It is not Woolens and Nosh yarn. It was just the easiest way for me to actually store my Cozy Knitter Advent yarn from last year. So this was the Advent that was done over the Christmas season. Most people will have already seen all these colors, but if somehow you did not see the 2024 Cozy Knitter Advent Socks yarn and you do not want to see them yet, it would be a great time to look away. I knit a pair of these for myself over Advent season, and I'm knitting the second pair for my mother. I did the same thing last year, which weirdly, my socks from last year held up great. hers ended up getting holes in them, and she sent them to me to repair. So I will be seeing her this summer. And while I know she does not need 2 nice warm woolly pairs of socks in California in the summer, it's a great time to deliver the repaired pair and a new pair as well. So this was something, because I had just put my Cozy Knitter yarn in here as soon as I finished the other pair so that it would be easy to grab and go. When I finished the Wicked socks, it seemed like a great one to just grab and go, and then I can have them done before June very, very easily. I didn't need to wind anything up because it was already wound up, so that's part of why I picked it. And it is on my little bingo card to complete these socks this year, so it would be another one on there. So I have only actually started on one sock. The plan was to work on them in tandem, but then I finished the cuff and just needed on-the-go knitting and did not want to start the other cuff as part of that on-the-go knitting. Like, where I was and what I was doing, that just didn't work for me. So instead I just started doing it, and I've not started the second sock yet. I am trying to tell myself I should at least cast it on this weekend, even if I don't try to do the whole cuff. Because once it's cast on, I feel like it's easier to do as on-the-go knitting. It doesn't mean that I can't cast it on while I'm on the go, but I prefer not to. So I have gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stripes. About to start stripe number 10. And I believe my plan is to do 13 stripes, is I think what I calculated it out to. Then do the heel, and then do the other 11 stripes to make it fit for my mother. She's got slightly smaller feet than I do, so that should kind of work out based on the other socks I have made her. I do really want to get the other one going because, I mean, these stripes are going pretty quick. I'm very proud of that, and I would love if I could just kind of zoom through these, feel good about completing another project, but I feel like if I wait too long to start the second sock, it's going to feel like they're way... Like, I already feel like I'm way behind because I'm almost to the heel for the first sock and have not even started the second sock. So, yeah, I'm going to try to cast on the second sock this weekend, focus on getting that one going, at least a little bit, and then maybe once I'm done with the cuff and the first stripe or two, I can finish the other couple of stripes to get me to the heel. I don't know. I'll figure out when I want to get these next few stripes to get to the heel, but I definitely want to get the second cuff cast on while I am home for the weekend before I try to take these on the go again. So I realistically only have one more project that has gotten any work. It is my very full bag. This is the Twisted T-shirt by Brianna Lupino of the Little Wolf Knits, using my 2024 advent calendar from So Happy Jane, as well as a few colors from her hand-dyed Happy Yarn Club. So, I am so in love with this shirt. I have gotten pretty far on it. Got a bag of all my scrap colors, and then I'm using 3 colors, one for the collar, one for the ribbing on the arms, and then another for the ribbing at the waist. When you last saw this, I was right here in my stripes. Since then, I have done, let's see, most of one, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm halfway through stripe 5, as well as doing the sleeves. I really did want to do the sleeves before I got to the end, because it does do a twisted sewn bind off. Oh, is that a little loose there? No, that's okay. Which is not difficult, but it's a little finicky. I've done it before on other things, and I did still watch her tutorial to kind of refresh myself, but I only had to watch her go through it a couple times, and then I was like, oh, okay, I remember what I'm doing. When I get to the bottom ribbing, I will probably watch her video again. The tutorial video is included with her pattern for the twisted rib tee. Her version does it like solid in the middle and then another color for these, and I really would like to make one of those. This is my second time making this pattern, and both times I have made it striped, and I I'm just so in love with the way these colors are going. I have just, I guess, 3.5 more stripes, and then I will do the bottom. So I feel like there's a chance I can have this done next time I record, but I am trying not to obsess over having it done by the next time I record, because I feel like that's part of why I haven't gotten that far in some of my other projects. But I'm really enjoying this one. Like I said, I love the way the colors are. It's a beautiful rainbow, kind of earthy jewel tones to everything, and it's so gorgeous. I'm so happy with it. The only issue I've really had is one of these down here. Like, they're kind of, these ones here blend very well, so it probably looks like one big chunk from up here. But one of these, while I was knitting it, it started to turn my fingers blue a little bit. I've literally never had that issue with So Happy Jane yarn before. So it's got to be something about this specific blue that was in there. But it was one of those where it's like, okay, so I'm kind of glad I know that when I block this, so many color catchers are going in there, because I do not want that to bleed into everything else. So up at the top, I have what's called Sugar and Spice from one of her So Happy Jane hand-dyed Happy Yarn Club boxes. I was a subscriber for like 1.5 years, and I did take a break just because I have so much yarn that I want to prioritize working on my yarn rather than just collecting yarn that I'm not using. This one is what color? I think it's Refresh. Yeah, Refresh, because the bottom color is Winter Cozy. So a nice like minty green. I was trying to find one color that would be good for all three, and because it's a rainbow, I kept holding stuff up with what I had, and I didn't like anything, and I had my kids look at it with me and help me, and we just decided that this kind of reddish up here made sense, this greenish made sense here, and then down at the bottom I've got this come on out. Sorry, it's a very full bag. It's kind of like a smoky lavender. So, or maybe a dusty lavender. I don't know. It's going to look gorgeous. So yeah, I am so excited about this. I really want to finish it, but also I'm trying not to only work on this, because I do tend to get a little stressed if I have too many projects going at once. But also, I'm starting to get excited about other projects, so I kind of want this one big one I'm working on done so I can start working on another big one. But we'll get more into that in a minute. I did make a couple changes. The biggest change that I made, other than making it striped, is that the detail in hers that goes right up here by the raglan is supposed to continue down the side. I didn't continue it down the side when I did my first shirt, and I decided not to do that for this one either, strictly because it just made it faster. Like, it was just kind of, I don't know. It just, I wanted to just go straight in the round, not worry about it. So I'm hoping I can finish that one soon, but I am enjoying the process, and I am so excited to be able to wear that shirt. I do have a very small part of me that's like, I know Wicked and Wizard of Oz are two technically different shows, even if they come from the same world. They're from two different writers, two different times, all this other stuff. But there's that small part of me that's like, if I finish it in time, somewhere over the rainbow, I can wear it. And it's like, yeah, but that's not... I don't know that much about Wicked, other than it's in the Wizard of Oz world, and it's like a prequel, but by a different writer. Because I hadn't seen it or heard the music previously, I've been trying to hold out. Even with the movie out, I'm holding out to watch the live performance first. So it's like, I know that Somewhere Over the Rainbow doesn't entirely apply, but it also feels like it does. So there's that part of me that wants to zoom through and finish it in time, but also I don't want to zoom so fast that I hurt myself or am not actually enjoying it anymore, because I'm now putting pressure on myself to finish it by a particular time. But it is starting to get warm here, so having the short sleeve t-shirt will be very nice. All right, so that's all that I've been working on right now. I have done a little bit of spinning and a little bit on some of my like monthly projects that I try to do. Oh, what are you doing? Accidentally hit a colored light switch over here. I don't know if you even noticed it or not. I've done a little bit on some of those. I will probably do more of an update on my monthly projects, like maybe in the first recording in April. I don't know. I'm a little bit behind. I'm not sure what I'm going to actually accomplish, but I'm going to try to catch up a little bit. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Some of the project planning, again, like I said, I am starting to get excited about other projects. This is March, almost the end of March, so I'm on month 3 of trying to prioritize working from my stash rather than buying yarn for projects that I may or may not get around to. And I feel like I'm doing okay, but I'm starting to get that like, okay, but I want to do this pattern and I don't have what I need for that. So like I've had a few sweater patterns. It's warming up. I'm not going to want a sweater in a little bit, but I've done a couple of striped sweaters and things like that so that I can use the yarn that I have. But I also am getting this like, yeah, but I don't want to do a striped sweater. And I don't want to use the yarn that I have a sweater's quantity of because it's not the right yarn. I want to make this pattern, not something that follows that yarn. So I'm starting to get a kind of an itch to buy new yarn. But I think it's more of because I'm finding patterns I want to do than just that I want to buy new yarn. And I have purchased a couple of patterns to try to use some of the yarn I have. I'm trying to figure some stuff out. One of the patterns that I recently purchased, I'm not going to remember the name. Let me look it up. The North Ave Slipover from Brianna Lupino of the Little Wolf Knits. So it is I will link it below. She just released the pattern this last Friday. And it uses, for my size, I would need 2-ish skeins of a DK weight, or hers is done in a boucle yarn. And I don't have 2 matching in a DK weight or a boucle. So I was like, but I want to make it. And a little bit of a like sleeveless vest basically would be perfect through those transition seasons. And it's like, I want to do it. And I'm going to finish a big project. And can't I do this? But then I would have to buy yarn for it. And then it just kind of clicked that might be something like the texture of some of my hand spun yarn may work really well in one that was designed with boucle yarn in mine, because if mine's not a perfectly even consistency, it's fine. It was made originally with yarn that is not like super smooth. So that was kind of one of those where I'm like, ooh, yes, because I have a whole bunch of hand spun, and on my bingo card is making a project with hand spun yarn, and I had no idea what I was going to end up doing. I figured I'd probably end up doing like gloves or a hat or something that I may or may not ever even wear. But then if I use it for this project, I would be able to mark it off my bingo card, and maybe it kind of made me realize a couple of the other patterns I wanted to do. I may have yarn that I'm working on hand spun that would be perfect for it. I just have to figure it out. Like, is it the right size? Do I have enough? So I do need to go through my hand spun yarn and see what I can do with that. The other thing that I have considered is just kind of taking some of my single skeins that coordinate and trying to figure out kind of how to fade them for some of these sweaters. So like I have yarn nearby just so that I can talk about this. So like I have like these 3. They're all from So Happy Jane. So they're all the exact same base, but they were 3 different colors. And it's like, yeah, but they coordinate, they can go into each other, and honestly, if I needed to, I could probably even put another one in there. This one might have too much green. But you know, I have like this whole basket of yarn from her that obviously yarn dyers do not all use like only one color or anything, but it's all the same base, it all goes well together, and it's like, if I put that together, I could like hold stuff double so that it kind of fades into each other even more. And I had this whole like thought process of how to use a bunch of this yarn together. And then I don't know, maybe it was just like a confidence issue of like, yeah, but okay, how do I do that? Like, I know people do this, but how do you do that when you go from like, say we're doing a raglan. So I go from the raglan, I am blending these two into the raglan, and then it's going to go into this one. So, okay. So how do I do that? And then also make sure I have enough to properly blend the sleeves. How do I weigh the yarn out to do that? And I am sure the internet can help me with that. If any of you guys have ideas, please let me know, because it's something that I even have 3 yarns that were once gifted to me that made this great fade. And the idea was, hey, that's enough that you can make a sweater and you can fade them into each other and it would look so nice. And it's like, yes, it would. But I have no idea how to do that. Do I just weigh out the yarn and do like 40 grams for the body and 30 grams for each sleeve? That doesn't seem right. So what I do, like 50, 25, 25, like I'm probably overthinking it. But it seems like there has to be a way to know how much to save for the sleeves so that I get, it doesn't have to be identical, but something that looks like the sleeves should go with the body. Or do I just go fully like, who cares? And okay, I've got this fade going on the body, and then because I'm going absolutely off the rails, this is now my sleeves, and they don't match. Like, I could. I don't want to, but I could. So it's definitely there's got to be an answer to this. But having never done it before and looking at patterns that are not telling me specifically to do that, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying to figure it out because I have like so many single skeins. I love single skeins, partially because I love making socks, but I also have a big basket of completed socks and kind of want some bigger garments. I want shirts and I want sweaters. And of course, as I tell myself I'm going to prioritize my stash, I don't want to make anything that prioritizes my stash anymore. I now want to make things where I would love to make that shirt, but I'd have to go out and buy another couple things of yarn. And, if I can't get the same color, well, I may as well just buy all the yarn for the new shirt at once so that, it's from the same dye lot. It's a little bit of a mess. I'm trying to figure it out, but the upside is unlike 2 weeks ago, at least I'm excited about my projects again. I'm like, I want to plan. I want to do this. I have not dumped out my hand spun yarn yet to see what I have that would work for that pullover vest, but I'm like, I have got to find something. I kind of did a little bit of like looking at the pattern and trying to figure out like the yardage, because I don't spin usually for a specific project. I usually just spin something that's pretty and then it sits on the shelf. And at some point I need to get rid of a whole bunch of my hand spun because I'm not using it and somebody else might. Which is part of why knitting something with hand spun is on my yearly prioritize my stash bingo card. But it also means that I might have something that's enough to make this pullover. I might not. And I might have enough that's something there where there's enough to make this pullover, but it's in a color I would probably not actually wear like that. And I'm excited to see what I have, but I'm also, I guess, scattered. I mean, you can hear the way I'm rambling about all of this. I mean, it was one of those where I also thought like the pullover vest is a DK weight. So it's like, cool, hold stuff together. But then I would still, based on the yardage, like I'd still need 2 each of these, or I'd have to blend them into something else. And I love all my single skeins, but figuring out how to use them for these bigger projects, it's a challenge. It's a skill I do not currently have, but if I succeed at doing this and getting through some of these projects I want to make without just going out and buying new yarn, it's a skill that I will have for other projects in the future. And so that is definitely worth working on. All right, so almost done here. There's usually not a lot of exciting life stuff going on. We did have people. Last weekend was a little chaotic. So my teenager went on a school trip for a week to Disney World. She's back now. Otherwise, I would not be sharing where my child is. I don't think there's very many people watching, and I would sincerely hope nobody watching would want to do my child harm, but it's also just basic internet safety. So she was in Disney World with her friends on a school trip, had a blast. Little Little nerve-wracking because she's never gone on a trip like that before, but she had so much fun and she is home now. While she was gone, my in-laws came to visit. It was not an intentional thing, of course, to visit while she was gone, just the way it lined up. And we had a little bit of chaos with that, not like mean to them. But on their trip to see us, their car absolutely died like 3 hours away from us. When they got it towed to the next biggest place, that was like an hour away, they were now 2 hours away from us. All of this happening while my husband was having like dental surgery things going on. So as soon as I got off work, we had to drive out to rescue them, drive back, help them deal with their car. It was all very workable, but a little stressful for them as well. And then, of course, after that slightly stressful weekend, right back into work. And it didn't entirely feel like downtime, taking a break, any of that stuff. So that's part of why I kind of prioritized just a couple of projects. It's part of why I didn't get a lot done on my monthly projects, because we were not just home hanging out like we normally would be. We were doing stuff. We went out to see a market. We went to the mall in Boise. We went to a car dealership. These are not things that I could be sitting there working on big projects while I do. And some of the more some of my monthly projects are just a little more complicated, where I have to be looking at the pattern. So we were not somewhere where I could sit and look at the pattern. So, I mean, I knew I'd be a little bit behind on them after having people visit for the weekend, and it seemed fine. And then I realized that, like, we are almost through March, and I have not been I'm not up to date on my monthly projects. So I really need to get going on those. I may or may not hit all of the goals for each month, but I'm going to see what I can do. And if I don't hit them this month, I'm just going to try to keep going. I'm trying to remind myself spreading these out over the entire year is not to create stress. It is to just create. I'm not sure I entirely believe it all the time, but I'm working on it. So that is all I have for today. I am really happy that I can at least come back with a lot more excitement versus being kind of bummed about my projects. Last one was not the most fun to film. I am hoping that you will see a little bit more of me on here. I used to be a lot more active on Instagram, but not really feeling the Zuckerberg meta vibes there. And so I was going to start doing more on YouTube Shorts, where it's like, you know what, I can still do the same sort of short videos on here that I was doing there, and realistically, I probably should have been anyways. And then I went to go and like, okay, cool, let me just see how to do this. And it looked like I didn't have the ability to do YouTube Shorts. My child looked at it, the button was right there, just completely missing the obvious. So I may be uploading some of my older stuff from Instagram to share here, maybe just some new stuff. We'll see how frequently I am posting to YouTube Shorts, because in that, like, I don't really want to post here, but I'm not quite figuring out exactly the process of posting here. I'm definitely out of the habit. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, you may see more of me on here. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's not, because I do tend to ramble. But usually when I do short form, I don't talk as much, so there's less rambling. Anyways, that is all today. I'm definitely done now so that I can start editing this and go back to working on my projects. Until we talk again, have a very happy making.